Hello everyone, I am Rajkumar Rai, faculty Next IAS. As a part of Civil Service Conclave, today we are going to discuss about the General Studies Paper 4 titled as Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. In this session, we are going to cater to the needs and demand of those students who are preparing for the civil service examination for the very first time and those who have already taken this attempt, one or more attempt in this examination. Now, General Studies Paper 4 basically we are going to cover in broader dimensions, including the subject matter of this, which is derived from the syllabus. Next, we are going to focus upon how to study ethics through the sources. Next, we will focus upon how to make notes. Along with that, the key focus areas which we will derive from the previous year paper analysis. And lastly, the most important part is about answer writing. So this section is going to be very exciting, where we will learn all these aspects of civil service examination regarding General Studies Paper 4. Now, before we start discussing about anything, it is mandatory on our part to discuss about what UPSC demands or what is the guideline issued to the candidate by UPSC regarding General Studies Paper 4. So UPSC, when you download the syllabus, prescribe that this paper will include question to test the candidate's ability to basically. So UPSC prescribed that this paper will include questions to test the candidate attitude and the approach to issues relating to the integrity, probity in public life and his problem solving approach to various issues and conflict faced by him in dealing with society. So first of all, we must have a clear-cut understanding about the ethical terms which are given in the syllabus, which we are going to observe shortly. Next is we should have a attitude which is of problem solving and approach which is giving us solution which are pragmatic and implementable. It should not be based on ivory tower approach, or it should not be based on very idealistic notion. Along with that, we will also focus on values like integrity, probity in public life along with problem solving approach, as we have mentioned. Now, these abilities of candidates are going to be tested by UPSC under General Studies Paper 4, and it could be done with the help of question and case study approach to basically determine whether the candidate possesses such aspects or qualities or not. So, in a nutshell, if I have to say, it is going to test the ethical competence of a candidate rather than testing the knowledge of ethics of a candidate. So focus should be on whether you have imbibed the ethical values or ethical basically modus operandi in problem solving or not is going to be tested here. Moving on. Now, first is subject matter or what we are going to take in this topic for study. The best guide for us in this is a UPSC syllabus, which is acting as a lighting house for us to determine what to study and what not to study. And precisely, UPSC has 7 topics with additional 8th one, which is nothing but culmination of all 7 topics. What are these topics? So I am not going to get into every possible detail of that, because anyone can download the syllabus and go through the topics which are given. But primarily, it is focusing on the ethics and human interface. So we must have a clear-cut understanding about what is ethics, what is morality, how they are different, what is laws, what is norms. All these kinds of basically terms we should have a basic understanding about. Now, it focuses on the essence of ethics, why ethics is needed, what is the crux of ethics, why it is important. So, determinants and consequence of ethics in human interaction. So all these aspects surrounding the ethics is going to be discussed under part of this topic. Next is attitude. Attitude simply means the mindset of a person toward any other person, entity, situation और a particular thing. So basically अगर आप किसी situation में देखते हैं, आपका क्या response होता है, क्या mindset होता है, क्या आपका basically behavioral aspect होता है, that form your attitude. For example, at the time of disaster, what would be your attitude? Are you going to have an attitude of a giving up person कि नहीं अब सब छोड़ दो निकल जाओ यहाँ से, or you show the attitude of courage, temperance, or of courage, or basically of a fighter. So what kind of attitude, what kind of temperament you are going to show is depending purely on the attitude of a person. What kind of response you are going to show is purely depending on the attitude of yours or the person who is in that situation. So attitude play a very important role, and we must have the attitude which shows that we are capable of handling any kind of stress or pressure, because that is what the demand of the particular occupation we are aspiring to. Next is aptitude. Aptitude is slightly different from attitude in that way that it is a capability of a person to learn something in future, not in present. In present, if you have the ability or learning of something, that is what we call as ability or your skills. But this is your future capability to learn something. Remember, in prelims examination, there is one paper called as Civil Services Aptitude Test. So aptitude tests are nothing but they are testing your capability whether you are going to basically learn something new in future or not. So that is what aptitude is all about. So that is also the subject matter of General Studies paper 4. Then you have emotional intelligence. What does this mean? Emotional intelligence meaning the ability to understand emotions as well as express emotion not just of oneself but also of other. A person with emotional intelligence will understand the particular emotion of person involved in any particular situation, and they can better handle that situation, right? So that is where emotional intelligence is going to play a very crucial role. Next is contribution of thinkers and philosophers. Now from this topic we are going to basically drive something into the domain of philosophical schools of thought. Various philosophers across the globe as well as in India has given us some ideas, some moral principles, some ethical values and some kind of approach to solve the ethical dilemma which we are going to discuss, or which a candidate is supposed to study in detail in order to come to any particular decision. So this is also another important aspect. Here you can start studying about various different philosophers, moral thinkers across the globe, from Socrates to the present intellectuals and philosophers. It will give you an edge over decision making at any situation because you have read a lot about these philosophers under this topic. So it is very much important. Next is the public services values and ethics in public administration. So what are the public services value? If you are serving in public domain, you are supposed to be honest, you are supposed to be selfless, you are supposed to be objective, you are supposed to be non-partisan, you are supposed to be non-biased. So all these kinds of public services values are required and expected out of a public servant when they are dealing in public domain. So these values and these basically the principle any public servant is supposed to follow, and that is the subject matter in the topic public services values and ethics in public administration. Next is the probity in governance, meaning how honest and how you are honest and manifesting integrity in your governance aspect. So here you will discuss, or here you will cover various topics which are relevant for your services. So probity in governance include topics like concepts of public service, how is it different from private services, then philosophical basis of governance and probity, likewise various other things including code of ethics, code of conduct, right to information, quality of services, delivery, work culture, utilization of public funds, all that under the domain of probity in governance. And these 7 topics are the core or the crux of General Studies paper 4, which every candidate is supposed to have the knowledge about, and based on this knowledge UPSC has added the 8th topic in this subject, which is case studies on above issues, meaning they will formulate some case studies which a candidate are supposed to answer based on their learning on these 7 topics. तो ये सारी बात हो गई अबाउट द सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ जनरल स्टडीज पेपर 4, दैट इज एथिक्स, इंटीग्रिटी एंड एप्टीट्यूड. नाउ द मेजर क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, हाउ टू स्टडी दिस सब्जेक्ट. Remember, no university in India teaches ethics, integrity and aptitude. So, candidates, when this subject was introduced in civil service examination in 2013, were very much clueless about the sources or the areas to cover, or the subject matter, or the basically book list which they should prescribe, which they should basically read for mastering this subject. So, having the idea about the subject matter from the syllabus, now we have to look into how to study this particular subject through various sources. So, in this, the best source, which is the most popular also since 2013 itself, is the Lexicon book for Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude, which is published by Chronicle Publication. Now, this book contains the basic understanding about the different terminologies which are used in the syllabus. It gives you a brief idea about various terms and its application part. For example, you will get to know about difference between morality and ethics. Similarly, you will get to know about what are ethical dilemmas. You will get to know about various moral thinkers and philosophers in very brief manner. So, this serves the purpose. So, this is one of the important source. Along with that, it is also recommended to the student who are preparing for this subject to go through the second Administrative Reform Commission reports in general, and in particular they must go through the fourth report, which is Ethics in Governance, and the 12th report, which is Citizen-Centric Administration. So, these two ARC reports play a very important role in understanding about the administrative framework and the role of ethics, values, integrity and aptitude in this basically framework. Along with that, another important source are the Yojana issues. Yojana is basically a magazine published by basically Government of India, and its issue in 2003, that is about good governance. Then in 2013 about inclusive governance, and in 2014 about reforms in public administration are a must read, which will give you a overview about various dimensions and topics related to this subject. For additional reading, again you can refer to various sources, including Mahatma Gandhi autobiographical book, The Story of My Experiment with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. Along with that, there is a BBC website which cover the topic on ethics, that is titled as Ethics Guide, and for beginners they can go through the Harvard University lecture, which are freely available on YouTube, and Harvard University website also by Michael Sandels. So, it will give you a perspective to study this particular subject. So, ये बात हो गई हमारी sources की कि कहाँ से पढ़ें. Now, the question arises how to study or how to make notes. So, we will go through that shortly, but let's have a brief idea about whatever we have studied and what are the emphasis given by UPSC on the topic which we have seen so far. So, we have seen that in ethics syllabus or general studies paper 4 syllabus, primarily there are 7 topics which is prescribed by UPSC. 8th one is about the case study, which is nothing but case study being asked from these topics only. So, analyzing the previous year topic wise question trend analysis, we come to this conclusion that when this subject was introduced in UPSC in 2013, the questions were majorly coming from the first topic, which was ethics and human interface. That time 6 questions were asked. Now, this 4 plus 2 is 4 questions were from theory part and 2 questions were from the case study section. No questions were asked from the attitude section. Aptitude questions was there, and in the theoretical section one question was asked. Emotional intelligence questions were not directly dealt in this. Then contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers, there was no direct question from that part, indirectly they were asking something. Then public services values and ethics in administration, total 3 questions were there, 2 were from the theoretical section and 1 were from the case study part. Lastly, probity in governance, 3 questions were asked and all 3 covering through the case study method only. So this was a kind of tentative idea we get from the previous year analysis of 2013 paper of General Studies paper 4. Likewise, when you go through this slide, you can observe that every year the trend is being changing and it is not advisable to skip any of the topic, meaning we should focus on all the topic which are prescribed in syllabus, because this is one of the shortest syllabus prescribed in UPSC for any general studies paper. Along with that, its syllabus is quite concise and application based, meaning here you can score good marks by reading less and applying more. So this is one beauty of this subject. Now this was whole about the general studies trend analysis. Now in this trend analysis you can observe this by looking at this slide, that in 2014 questions were asked from the ethics and human interface, they were 9 in number. Then from attitude 2 questions were started. They have initiated asking question from the attitude topic which were in 2014. Then 5 questions from the aptitude, no question, 1 question from emotional intelligence, 1 direct question from the moral thinker and philosopher topic. Then public service value weightage were of 2 questions, and lastly probity in governance, 1 question, that too from the case studies. So likewise in the previous year, that is in 2019, UPSC has asked 2 questions from ethics and human interface. From attitude topic they have asked 1 question, from aptitude topic they have asked another question, but again in the form of case study. Emotional intelligence had 1 question in this basically paper. Then moral thinker and philosopher, surprisingly they have increased the weightage this time by giving quotes of various moral thinkers and philosophers, and overall 3 theoretical questions were asked. Next was public services values, in which 7 questions were asked overall, 4 were from the theory section and 3 were from the case study section. Lastly, the probity in governance were having 4 questions in 2019 paper, that is 3 were from the theoretical section and 1 were from the case study section. So this trend analysis give us a bird eye view that it is important for us to give equal weightage and importance to all the topics which are given in this paper rather than skipping any of the topic. Why? Because the trend is not basically consistent, it is fluctuating and very dynamic, changing as per the demand of the duration, or it is fluctuating and changing frequently if you analyze the previous 7 year paper pattern or question paper pattern. So this will give you a bird eye view. Now the major question arises, how to study this topic. Now in 2013 when this topic was introduced, students were in lot of dilemmas that what to study in this topic. At that point of time we do not have much sources available in the market also, whether this source should be followed or not. So there were too much basically confusion among the student. But over a period of time, analyzing the previous year questions, it gives a fair idea to the candidate about how to study this topic. So the primary requirement to study this topic is about the conceptual clarity of the topics which are given in syllabus. Like you have attitude topic given in the syllabus, at the same time you also have aptitude topic given in the syllabus. Unless you understand and know the difference between these 2 terms, there is no point in proceeding or studying further under these domains or topic. So one must have a precise conceptual clarity about all the terms which are given in the syllabus. Meaning, if there is a term ethics and if there is another term morality, you must know that ethics is for the collectivity or the people in group or for society. Ethics are generally not individualistic in nature. It is applied on all members of the society or a group. For example, religious ethics prescribe the people of one religious community how to dress, how to consume food, what to consume, what not to consume, how to marry, and other basically domain in their life. Morality, on the other hand, is individualistic in nature. What could be moral for me may not be moral for other individual. So it is focusing upon collectivity, it is focusing on the individual person. Meaning my morality may be different from my father's morality or some other individual's morality. But if I am living in one particular family or one particular community, my ethical values more or less will revolve around the same basically ethics. So collectivity will emphasize on ethics. So ethics is for whole society or a group or a collective set of people. Morality is for individual, right? Now, difference between ethical theory or different ethical theories. Now, in the course of studying, you come across various ethical theories like virtue ethics, like utilitarian ethics, like Kantian ethics or deontological ethics. So, you must have a conceptual clarity about all these ethical theories, what they want to basically pertain to or what they want to pursue, right? How you can utilize this theory to come to a conclusion, how you can justify any particular action taken by an individual by using these ethical theories. So one must have a conceptual clarity is what the first requirement to study this subject. Next is one must suppose to be acquaint oneself with the terms mentioned in the syllabus in simplest words. So you come across various terms or keywords in the syllabus mentioned. Now you must have the clear-cut understanding about the terms in a simplistic manner. You can also associate that with your personal day-to-day basically events also. For example, accountability. Now accountability simply means answerability. If you are accountable, meaning you are answerable for your action. So that clarity should be there in the mind of person who is preparing for general studies paper 4. So here accountability meaning holding person accountable for their action. So for example, if your parents have given you some task to buy something from market and they have given you money to buy that, it is you who are answerable to them that after say 1 hour or 2 hours, if they ask whether you have bought that particular commodity or not within the particular price range, you are supposed to answer them whether you have purchased it or not, right? So there you are accountable to your parents whether you have done their instruction, whether you have followed their instructions or not and purchased something which they have asked you to do so. Similarly, you have another term called attitude. Attitude simply means the mindset of a person. Now a person mindset could be judged on the basis of the responses or reaction of a person in particular situation or when other persons are present or in certain events or at or toward a particular thing. For example, if you see a animal, cow, what is your basically response or reaction toward that? That reflect your mindset. Similarly, what are your views on politicians? What are your views on famous personalities? What are your views on cricketing IPL? What are your views on IPL? What are your views on any cricketing event? So that will reflect your attitude. How you react or respond to a particular situation. For example, if there is a flooding in your state, what would be your response? So that collectively basically make your attitude. Attitude could be positive, attitude could be negative. In positive attitude, you must manifest certain values and certain ethical principle which is appreciated by other. In negative attitude, you are not doing that. So that should be clarity, that clarity should be there in your mind regarding the definitional part. Next is values. Values simply means standards or ideal with which we evaluate actions, people, things or situation. Values simply means something of worth or your preferences. For example, if you are offering me tea or coffee, I will prefer tea over coffee, meaning I am giving more value to the tea over coffee. So that is what in a simple words you can define values. So if you are given a choice of honesty and dishonesty, if you choose honesty, meaning you value honesty over dishonesty. Similarly, if you are being asked to follow probity in life or to follow corrupt behavior, you may value probity in life or integrity in life over corruption or corrupt behavior. So that is what your preference is how we define the term value. And these are the standard benchmark you set or ideals you set with which you either evaluate actions of your own or actions of other. That this person has taken action which manifest higher standard values. This person has manifest action which is not having higher standard values. So this is what a measuring tool also you utilize for evaluating people's action. Next is ethics. Ethics simply defined as systematic study of human action from the point of its rightfulness or wrongfulness. So ethics simply defined as systematic study of human action from its rightfulness or wrongfulness. For example, if you have helped a needy person, was it ethical or unethical? So every society in the world prescribed to help the needy person. So since every society prescribed and you follow the society's prescription, it was considered as rightful action done by you, and hence it is concluded as ethical action. But suppose you are not helping that person, though you are in a position to help that person, so that action might be considered as unethical because it is against the prescriptions of the society. So what is ethical, what is unethical varies from society to societies based on their basically the directives given to their member, but universal ethical principle more or less fall under the same domain, right? So one must have a very much clarity about this term, as well as they must acquaint themselves about this term in a very simple word. You can associate all these terms with your day-to-day life also to give or use it as an example, right? Now next one must focus upon that relate these terms to one's personal experience, or if not, you can take clue from the life of social reformers, leaders and civil servants. So you can take anecdotes from their life. For example, in the beginning we have discussed about the story of My Experiment with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi, where you will get various anecdotes from the life of Mahatma Gandhi to utilize in your examination, to utilize to explain something to anyone. For example, compassion. Now, if you find it difficult to define compassion, at least you must have a conceptual clarity that compassion is helping someone at the time of need when you are in a position to do so. So that is what you can have compassion, and you can give the personal example of that maybe your pet was suffering from some disease and you take that pet to the doctor and basically that help in the curing of your pet. You can also give example of compassion that you help the family members in their daily course of actions, and that will show your compassion toward the hard-working family members of yours who did not ask for it, but still you are compassionate enough to understand that they required your help. Similarly, leadership is another term which is given. You can take example from Mr. Satish Dhawan life, who was an ISRO chairman, and when India's first SLV was launched, it ended up in a disaster. It failed. So Satish Dhawan basically take full responsibility of that failure, and he did not basically allowed his team member to face the media who were asking very basically tough question about the failure of that mission. But when this mission got successful in the coming years, he gave full credit to his team member and allow them to basically face the media. So that shows the leadership quality of Mr. Satish Dhawan. Now these were some of the examples from the life of civil servants, social reformers and leaders to understand the value of leadership, to understand the topic of leadership. Similarly, for compassion, you can take personal example to explain all this, right? Now, you can also, in order to strengthen your answers, you can also take examples or case studies from current affairs or the events which are there in day-to-day life. For example, you can take example of Armenia-Azerbaijan war in utilizing that in ethics in international relation, which is also a topic in your subject. Similarly, you can take the recent example where doctors and medical practitioners were brutally attacked by various sections of the society when they went for the sample collections during the COVID-19 crisis. Now, that can be utilized to explain your point in your particular case study or in particular topic. Next is, while reading newspaper, try to analyze the actions of various people involved and its impact on society. So, never read newspaper in silos. Try to associate and try to think how you can utilize this particular news in various general studies paper or your optional subject. For example, if you come across any policy matter of Government of India, you should have a clarity in mind that who are the stakeholders who might be affected by this policy. For example, if Prime Minister has started one policy called PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, who are the beneficiaries who are going to get benefit out of this scheme? Who are the stakeholders in this scheme? So that should be analyzed from your side while reading the newspaper, and that will give you a wider perspective to understand the impact of this policy also. That since they are the stakeholders of this policy, so definitely they are the one who is going to be impacted by this policy. Then read official sources and quote relevant data and scheme. We have also mentioned that you must go through second ARC report, especially the 4th and the 12th report, in order to get clarity about the framework of administration in India as well as importance of ethics in that framework. Similarly, you can read RTI success story, which is published with title Trust Through Transparency. It includes various success story of Right to Information Act, which you can directly utilize, and again it is from the official source. Lastly, analysis of previous year questions. That is of utmost importance to give you an idea about which areas you need to emphasize on what kind of questions are being asked in the examination, so that you can prepare those questions in advance or at least have an idea about those areas in advance, right? So that will be your modus operandi on how to study the ethics. Another question being frequently asked is about how to make notes. So note making should be as simple as possible, and we must emphasize on few points while making notes. First is that you must have a short note or synopsis on each terms and topic which is given in the syllabus. So go through syllabus multiple times to an extent of memorizing the syllabus and read those terms which is given in syllabus and have a very brief definition or very brief basically short note to explain those terms. That is going to be very helpful for clarity of thoughts. For example, we have seen the definition of accountability, definition of ethics, definition of basically other terms which is given in the syllabus. So that is of utmost importance. Similarly, you must note down the important quotes and anecdote from the life of great leaders and social reformers. Again, there is no dearth to the quotes given by the social reformers and the leaders. But again, those who played a very important role in the history of the world as well as their thought have created or give some direction to the society must be focused upon. For example, in the world history, Greek philosopher given shape to the ideas of Greek or European society in the initial years. Later on, you can take ideas or cues from various European and American philosophers. Likewise, from India, you should take into consideration the views and the thought of various philosophers from the time of Buddha, how they shaped the society at that point of time, Mahavira, Guru Nanak and other religious basically leaders. At the same time, you can also take cues and the sources from the moral text like Gita, like Bible, like Quran, and you can utilize that in your quotation also. That will give more depth to your answer. Next is current event and example related to different topics. So recently there were COVID crisis is ongoing. Recently you basically come across the clinical trials. Is clinical trial ethical or not? Whether we should allow the vaccines without proper clinical trials, looking at the urgency of the situation. So all this comes under the domain of medical ethics or in general the ethical domain. So you can utilize that in your topic. So current event को आपको link करना है with the subject. Similarly, diagram and pictorial representation of some topic. Try to improve your presentation with the help of diagrams, flow charts or any kind of pictorial representation so that it will change the monotony of writing an answer and it will help the evaluator also to understand the topic in few words. Lastly, summary of ethical stories from the moral text like Ramayana, Bible, Quran, etc. and folklores. So that played a very important role in shaping the psyche of a person. And standard stories are part and parcel of basically every child who is growing up as well as every person who is part and parcel of a society. So by utilizing that in your answer, you substantiate your strong basically ethical principle with this religious and moral text. So that should be done. Next is the most important part, which is the answer writing for the mains. Now when you see the syllabus, you come across 7 major topics of ethics, but when you analyze the previous year questions and question paper, you come across that ethics is asked in examination under 2 sections. One is section A, other is section B. Now in section A, the examination cover all the theoretical aspect of General Studies paper 4. It will ask the question from the theoretical perspective, from the perspective where you have to answer in a theoretical framework. For example, they might ask you question about the ethical principle. They might ask you question about the moral philosophers. They might give you some quote and ask you to explain from the point of view of particular moral philosophers. They might ask you about various topics which are given in the syllabus. तो ये वाला जो portion है that purely cover the theoretical and analytical aspect of General Studies paper 4. In section B, they cover the practical, implementable, applicable aspect of ethical theories and principle with questions given in the form of case studies. They will give you some hypothetical case studies and you are expected to give or present your opinion, views, your basically ideas to solve that particular case studies utilizing your theoretical knowledge or analytical skill. So this paper consists of 2 sections. Section A is purely like any General Studies paper where you have to theoretically answer things. Section B is more like a solution of case study where they are asking you question based on some case studies. So these 2 sections are to be dealt differently. So strategy for section A should be, that is the theoretical portion, that here you generally see based on our previous year analysis that in section A they used to ask 10 to 13 question, 10 to 15 question, 10 to 12 question. Every question is having same weightage, that is 10 mark, right? Now they usually ask questions in the form of parts and subparts of a question. Now they ask around 6 questions having various subparts. It comes out to be either 12, 13, sometime 11 also, and every question is of same mark, which is 10. So in general it approximately cover 130 marks, the theoretical portion and this question, and you are supposed to write 150 word answer to this 10 marker, and they usually provide you to blank script to write those answers. So you must be as precise as you can. In less number of words, you have to express the answer. The brevity of yours is going to play a key role in analyzing and giving you good marks. Answer can be written both in paragraph and the point format based on the demand of question. So again, there is no hard and fast rule कि points में लिखना है या paragraph में लिखना है. It is you who has given complete freedom of choice to decide whether to write in paragraph format or point format. Now here the thing you need to emphasize upon is the structure of answer. By structure of answer, I mean your answer should be well structured in the form of introduction, body and conclusion, where it should not be seen that you have abruptly started an answer or you have abruptly ended an answer. Your answer start on a note of introduction which introduces a topic before the evaluator. Then your main analysis will cover in a body part, and lastly you will have a concluding remarks on your stand you take on that particular theoretical question. So these three are covering under the structure of an answer. Now in the body part of an answer, like any general studies answer, your major emphasis on analyzing that particular question from multiple dimensions, from the political dimension, social dimension, cultural dimensions, then economic dimensions. So try to analyze, if the question demand, to analyze that from multiple dimensions. Along with that, you should also make an attempt to incorporate ethical theories and principles which you learn in the topics or the theories of ethics. So try to incorporate that along with examples and pictorial representation or diagram. So this will basically be sufficient to write and attempt an answer in section 1. It is more like general studies paper with ethical angle added to it. Meaning here, rather than emphasizing more on the facts and figure, your ethical competence is being tested, how you can apply that ethical principle and theory to answer or address the particular question being asked. Right? Next is about your case study section, which is strategy for section B. Now section B consists of case study, and usually when you see a case study, it is almost like half or 2 or 3 paragraph long case studies where they used to describe you the whole scenario or situation, and lastly they will ask you to solve that particular problem or to suggest a solution or to take particular kind of action by analyzing its merit and demerit. So case study is one important area where you can get more marks, because as such it does not have any prescribed answer format you can do. Or case study is one area where you can score maximum marks. Why? Because you can utilize your innovation out of box solution to give in the answer. This out of box solution will help you to get more marks. Right? Now what should be done in a case study? So there is a basically based on the previous year analysis, you can formulate a particular structure to solve a case study. In that, in the first, you must specify the facts or the stakeholder who might affected by that particular case study, to give a introductory feel to an evaluator कि ये facts हैं और ये stakeholders. Next, you must analyze the dilemmas or the values which are at stake. So basically case study is to test your ethical competence. So definitely there must be some ethical dilemmas or ethical values or principle which might be at stake. You must identify that so that evaluator get a clear cut idea whether you understood the case study or not. Similarly, you must be asked to formulate a possible course of action and identify the potential consequence. Possibly in case study you might be asked to give some suggestion about the course of action कि आप इस situation में होंगे तो क्या action लोगे. If not, they might give you some courses of action, sample courses of action, and you are being asked to analyze that on the basis of its merit and demerit. And finally, you are being asked to take a clear-cut stand or decision on that particular case study. So you can solve this case study by using this 4-point approach where you can basically answer particular case study. Now, while solving a case study or section A, which is theoretical portion, the things you should keep in mind is use of ethical theories and principles, meaning the conclusion you derive must be based on some solid substantiation of ethical theories and principle to prove your point that your opinion or your decision is in consonance with this particular ethical principle. Likewise, try to provide the practical solution rather than giving a hypothetical or idealistic solution which is difficult to implement. For example, if you are being asked that there is too much corruption in Indian offices, what should be done? So, if you basically give solutions which are very difficult to implement, for example, if you give suggestions like ban outsider from entering into the offices or ban mobile phones or any communication devices in the offices, it is very difficult to implement. Install camera in the offices, again it will be very expensive one, right? So, incorporate moral thoughts every day into the individual's mind, again it is not going to be very practical. So, give solution which are practically implementable rather than giving the idealistic solution. For example, if crime is increasing in India, you can give solutions like increase the police force or everywhere you should incorporate the police personnel. Again, this would be a solution, but again difficult to implement for a country like India. So, that things to be kept in mind before giving a solution. Next is try to provide the specific solution, meaning your answer should be dealing with the problems specifically, not generalistically, in the sense that if you are being asked to solve the problem of corruption, you just do not give the superficial answer like make stringent laws. How to solve that particular corruption issue in particular case, you should address directly to that particular cause rather than giving a generalistic solution for a whole country or whole district or whole state, right? Next is, while giving the possible action or option, you must also take into consideration the undesirable course of action which you would not have appreciated. But again, this will give the evaluator a clarity about the various possible option you could think of, right? So, even if you find that option or course of action undesirable, you must give that as an option. You may not take it as final decision, but this give you an evaluator an idea that you can think of particular issue from multiple dimensions, right? Now, in order to have a clarity on what we have discussed, let's have a example, brief example of the questions which being asked in previous year examination, so that we will have a clarity how to approach or how to solve those questions. This is very important to have a clarity on how to deal with a particular question. So, let's take one example or a question which is asked in previous year General Studies paper 4. It was question number 3rd, part B, which is asking about crisis of conscience or crisis of consciousness, right? Now, conscience is what? It is in simple word your inner voice, अंतरात्मा जिसको बोलते हैं. And whenever you suffer from this crisis of conscience, basically it means you are in a grave ethical dilemma, what to do, what not to do. Or it might occur when you have done some action and now you are feeling guilty that you have not listened to your inner conscience. So, that is what we mean by inner conscience or crisis of conscience, and how does it manifest itself in public domain. Now, this question was asked in 2019 Civil Service Mains examination. This question is of 10 mark, and how to address this question. So, when you see this question, the thought process should be that I should first define what is the meaning of this term crisis of conscience. Now, what is the crisis of conscience would be your introductory remark to this answer, meaning crisis of conscience is, in your own words, how you can simply explain to an evaluator. So, it can be explained in the way that it is a situation which makes a person uncomfortable about their action, whether they are as per the norms of the society or the law of the land. मतलब आप अपनी एक्शंस को बेसिकली करने के बाद या करने से पहले अनकंफर्टेबल हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज यू रियलाइज दैट योर एक्शन मे नॉट बी एज पर द लॉ ऑफ द लैंड और मे नॉट बी एज पर द norms of the society. If your action is not as per the norms of society, you suffer from ethical dilemmas or crisis of consciousness. For example, your parents your society always prescribed that you should not consume the narcotic substance, the toxicants, right? You should not consume liquor, you should not consume any narcotic substance. But suppose in an official meeting you are being asked to consume that, and if you end up consuming that, you suffer from crisis of conscience कि यार parents ने इसे consume करने से मना किया था and I have end up consuming that. So that create a crisis of conscience at the personal level. Similarly, in public domain, because this was the next part of this question, that how does it manifest itself in public domain? कैसे crisis of conscience public domain में manifest करेगा? So you can give an example that once in 1942 when Quit India movement was going on, Garhwal regiment basically personnel were posted in Peshawar district of British India, and this Garhwali regiment soldiers were being ordered to kill the unarmed protesters. Now these Garhwali regiment soldiers were in ethical dilemma, were in crisis of conscience. What was the crisis of conscience? They, being in defense personnel, army personnel, were supposed to follow the directive of their seniors. If they don't do that, they might be court-martial. But again, what the order was given was not in the public good, meaning killing of unarmed protesters would not be ethical, would not be considered as the right thing, which is for public good. So there was this incident that the soldiers of Garhwali regiment who were posted in Peshawar refuses to follow the order of their superiors, and they refused to follow the directive of their seniors and did not open fire on the peaceful protesters. So that resulted basically into resolving of their crisis of conscience. Similarly, if there is a riot going on and you, being a police personnel, realizes that the open fire on the people who are engaged into rioting is the only solution, you gave that order. But again, your subordinate think that it also basically unwarrantingly, or it also might target the innocent people, which they do not want. So again, there is a dilemma between the superior directive which is in the mind of your subordinate and the public good. क्या करें इसमें? This was one classic example also raised in Nuremberg trial. What was Nuremberg trial? After 1945, World War II ended, there was a city called Nuremberg in Germany where a trial was conducted in order to show the world that the criminals in the war were being basically given justice. Those criminals were being fairly basically put under the law and they are given justice. Now from there, when this German army soldier were asked why you have killed innocent Jews, so their answer was that we don't have any choice. We were bound by the service rules, and again we cannot deny to our superior's directive. We were just following the order. It was not our inner choice. So from there, the jury was also in a fix how to come to conclusion, because they were in a way defending their killing of innocent people under the lieu of or under the garb of superior directive. So from Nuremberg trial, there was a principle emerged that if your superior is giving you such a directive which is against the public good or which is against the individual human right of a person, you are not bound by the superior directive. So that was a conclusion derived from Nuremberg trial. So that basically is sort of some relief for those who suffer from crisis of conscience in that situation, right? Again, after analyzing this with these examples, you can give the concluding remarks by using Gandhian idea, who emphasizes that biggest court of law or biggest judiciary is your inner voice, which is even higher than any law of the land, which is even higher than any judicial body in the real world. So Gandhi says that whenever you have any dilemma or crisis situation, the voices of conscience should be given primacy by everyone. Now he basically also walked the talk by following that. During 1930s, when Britishers banned manufacturing of the salt by the people, because they imposed taxation on it, Gandhi feel that millions of poor people of India are being deprived and unwarrantingly forced to pay the taxes to the Britisher, and it is an evil law. The salt law passed by the Britishers is an evil law. So his conscience, inner voice does not allow him to follow the British law, and knowing it that manufacturing of salt is illegal, despite of that he listened to his inner voice of conscience and go for Dandi March to break that salt law, and that that basically shaped the civil disobedience movement in India during 1930s. So that was Gandhi who resolved the crisis of conscience by listening to the inner voice, right? So that is how you are going to explain. You can quote as many examples as you can from the current events also to justify that claim or to substantiate the answer, right? So that is about your theoretical question. Next would be your case study part, which was asked in 2019 mains examination as question number 9. Now, question number 9 says that an apparel manufacturing company having a large number of women employees was losing sale due to various factors. The company hired a reputed marketing executive who increases the volumes of the sale within short span of time. However, some unconfirmed report came up regarding his indulgence in sexual harassment at the workplace. After some time, a women employee launched a formal complaint to the management against the marketing executive about sexually harassing her. Faced with the company's indifference in not taking cognizance of her grievances, she lodged an FIR with the police. Now, realizing the sensitivity and gravity of the situation, the company called the women employee to negotiate. In that, she was offered a hefty sum of money to withdraw the complaint and the FIR, and also gave in writing that marketing executive is not involved in the case. Identify the issue involved in this case. What options available to the women employee? Again, this is a kind of question being asked in case studies format. Now, again, the best way to get good marks in the mains examination is to successfully negotiate with the psyche of an examiner or evaluator. Now, if you reduce his work to read all these paragraphs and simplify the whole case in few lines, that will be giving him more relief, right? Now, as an evaluator, he might be more relieved not going through that whole case study if you just summarize that in the introductory section in few words. So, while solving case study, just remember few points that before beginning the case study or the solution of that particular case study, you are supposed to provide some facts or fact of the matter to the evaluator in advance, so that he need not to go through question again and again, because there are around 6 to 7 case studies generally being asked, and these case studies consist of various paragraphs and they are generally long. So again, to give relief to an evaluator not to go through that, you just briefly summarize the whole case studies in few words. So brevity is the key to score good marks. Brevity is an art of saying things in few words. So that is what you are supposed to do. So in that case study, first what you do, you just write in few words about the facts of the matter of that particular case study. What are the facts? Then who are the stakeholder who might get affected or impacted by this case study? Then you will try to find out what are the ethical dilemmas or ethical principle or values which are involved in that. Then what could be the possible course of action? Analyze that with its merit and demerit, and lastly, what could be your final call or decision in that situation. So this question is basically about the sexual harassment at the place of work in an apparel manufacturing company. Clear cut, given in a clear cut manner that there was a executive who is involved in sexually harassing many women, and one woman mustered the courage to come out and speak about that. But here, company do not make any effort to take any action. So she was being forced to go to the other route, that is route of law. She went to police station and lodged an FIR. Now this FIR might give bad name or publicity to the company. So understanding the sensitivity and the gravity of the situation, the company management basically called that women employee to negotiate and requested her to take back her FIR in lieu of some monetary reward or monetary exchange. Now this is the whole situation. You have just summarized that in few words, and now you have to identify what are the ethical issues involved in this case and what are the options available to the women employee. So again, you have to analyze it from the perspective of that women employee. What are the options available to her after this particular situation? So this would be your thought process which we have discussed shortly. Now as a sample or model answer, you might mention what are the facts of the case. So facts of the case is alleged sexual harassment at the workplace by marketing executive, which is given. Marketing executive important resource for the company as he increased the sale. So it is also given in the case study that sale was not happening in a short span of time. Marketing executive with his efforts basically increased the sale. Next is company management indifference in not taking cognizance of women complaint. So company management basically do not take any actions or do not basically give an impression that they are going to take action against this marketing executive because they are he is benefiting them. So forcing the women employee to go to the police. Now when she went to police, company pressurizes the women employee to withdraw the case. Now this is the whole facts of the particular case. Now here in few basically paragraphs or lines, you have just simplified the whole case study rather than verbatim reproducing that in the facts of the matter. So here you should be as precise as you can without losing the essence of whole case study. Now second is who are the stakeholders? कौन कौन लोग इससे प्रभावित हो सकते हैं? Now stakeholders include women employees, marketing executive, company management, other employees of the company, society at large. So naturally the women employee who is lodging the complaint and who has faced the alleged sexual misconduct by the marketing executive is one of the stakeholder. Next is that marketing executive whose name is being framed in this. Then the overall company management and their basically modus operandi. Other employee also get affected because their colleague has been going through all this kind of things. Lastly, it is also setting up as a precedent in society. So probably it is having the society as a stakeholder at a larger level. So these were the stakeholders. Next is ethical dilemmas, ethical issues involved. So what are the ethical dilemmas you have to identify? So one is the self-interest versus societal interest. Company here is looking for their self-interest, that profit is going on. So rather than looking for the societal interest where women should feel safe at the place of work, they are focusing more on self-interest. Next is means versus end. Now here company is focusing on ends, that अगर सेल्स एग्जीक्यूटिव जो है या एग्जीक्यूटिव जो है वो प्रॉफिट दिला रहा है तो इट्स बेटर टू सस्टेन दैट पर्सन और इट्स बेटर टू कंटिन्यू दैट पर्सन rather than thinking of their sexual misconduct. तो उसको इग्नोर कर रहे हैं, जबकि यहाँ मीन्स इज एज इम्पॉर्टेंट एज एंड इज. इफ यही सिचुएशन रही and if every women employee started leaving the company because of such hostile work culture, now company basically ends will also get affected, their profit also get affected. So ये एक means versus ends का भी ethical dilemma है. Next is professional ethics versus company's profit. Naturally there are certain professional code of conduct which is imbibed by the employees who are working in an organization or a company is supposed to follow. Again it is in conflict with company's profit. Profit को देखें या professional code of conduct और professional ethics को देखें. Professional ethics को देखें तो अगर किसी एग्जीक्यूटिव ने सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट किया है तो दैट एग्जीक्यूटिव शुड बी फायर्ड. बट अगेन फायरिंग दैट एग्जीक्यूटिव माइट इम्पैक्ट और डेंट ऑन द कंपनीज प्रॉफिट. तो अगेन वी हैव टू टेक इनटू consideration of that. So these are the ethical dilemmas which are in conflict. Next is code of conduct versus company's brand values or image. So code of conduct follow करें या कंपनी के brand value और image का concern करें, again that is a dilemma. Next is sensitivity toward the dignity of women versus shareholder interest. यहाँ पे dignity of women के इम्फेसिस करना है, उसको इम्पोर्टेंस देना है, या शेयर होल्डर्स के इंटरेस्ट जो कि कंपनी में ओनरशिप रखते हैं, जो कि कंपनी के प्रॉफिट से बेसिकली प्रभावित होते हैं, उनके इंटरेस्ट को ध्यान में रखना है. एंड लास्टली सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट वर्सेस मॉनेटरी बेनिफिट. सो अगेन दीज वर ऑल द एथिकल डिलेमास और एथिकल वैल्यूज विच आर इन क्वेश्चन. नेक्स्ट, पॉसिबल कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन. व्हाट कुड बी द पॉसिबल कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन बिफोर दैट विमेन एम्प्लॉय, जिसको ऑफर किया है कंपनी ने कि टेक दिस मनी, take this particular monetary reward or take this monetary amount and take up your FIR and write and give it in writing that this particular executive has not done any sexual misconduct. So एक option इस women employee के पास ये है कि leave that whole matter accept the negotiation offer by the company and withdraw the case. उससे क्या होगा? One merit of this will be this will save her from mental trauma or delay in investigation and help her focus on career, कि इसको भूल करके वो अपने कैरियर पे फोकस कर सकती है. बट इसका डीमेरिट क्या होगा? डीमेरिट वुड बी दिस माइट लीड टू हर पर्सनल डिससेटिस्फैक्शन एंड डेंट हर सेल्फ इमेज. तो ऑफिस में उसकी इमेज क्या बन जाएगी कि शी हैज जस्ट टेकन मनी एंड बेसिकली गिव अप ऑन हर सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट केस. सो अगेन इसके मेरिट एंड डीमेरिट है. सेकेंड ऑप्शन or possible course of action could be that resign from the company taking morally high ground and continue pursuing the case in court of law. Meaning company में रहेगी तो उसे प्रेशराइज किया जाएगा continuously to take that particular money and take back that particular case. So again rather than taking that pressure, resign from the company, look for some other career opportunity and pursue that particular case in court of law. फायदा क्या होगा? This will ensure that justice is not compromised. उनका कैरियर के साथ जस्टिस कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं होगा. अलॉन्ग विद दैट इट विल हेल्प आर गेट अवे फ्रॉम अनड्यू प्रेशर फ्रॉम द कंपनी. सो कंपनी का जो अनड्यू प्रेशर रहेगा, अगर छोड़ देंगी तो वो प्रेशर नहीं रहेगा उन पर. डीमेरिट क्या होगा? दिस विल अफेक्ट हर कैरियर प्रोग्रेशन. ऑल्सो शी माइट फेस मॉनेटरी इशू इन डर्थ ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट. सपोज उन्हें कोई दूसरा एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं मिला तो उस सिचुएशन तक शी माइट फेस सम मॉनेटरी क्राइसिस इन हर लाइफ. थर्ड ऑप्शन उनके पास ये हो सकता है, we can think of continuing with the case by taking a firm stand against the company management. So no matter what, company ने आपको ऑफर किया है कि आप ये पैसा ले लो और केस वापस ले लो, but rather than doing that, you continue with the case. Merit क्या होगा? This will ensure her faith in justice delivery system and her commitment to her rights as an employee. Also, this will set as a precedent for other companies to strictly adhere to the code of conduct and conducive work culture. So ये अगर वो केस परस्यू करती हैं और जीतती हैं तो basically this will set as a precedent or an example for other company that work culture or conducive work culture should not be compromised at any possible cost. Demerit क्या होगा? She might face trouble in future prospect of her career in the company. अब उसी कंपनी में काम करना है जिसके अगेंस्ट में आपने केस फाइल किया है, तो नेचुरली द कंपनी मैनेजमेंट वुड नॉट सपोर्ट और एनकरेज हर प्रोग्रेशन एंड शी माइट नॉट बेसिकली get the encouragement from the company the way she might have got in situation of no case being filed by her. तो again ये वाला एक checks and balances है. Now based on this you can take a final decision, and final decision probably in that basically line was that just injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is a famous saying which says कि कहीं भी अगर अन्याय हो रहा है वो न्याय के लिए खतरा है जहाँ कहीं भी हो रहा है. तो injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and here she has faced injustice in the form of sexual harassment. तो इसको तो हमें rectify करना ही चाहिए. Based on that you can support option 3 which is just now we have discussed, that continue with the case by taking a firm stand against the company management. ये करके वो क्या कर सकती हैं? She is basically taking a case or she is pursuing that case, and this protect the right of women as an employee in the company and ensure safety of women in workplace cannot be taken lightly by the company management. तो ये वाला जो है ऑप्शन और पॉसिबल कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन seems to be more appropriate in this situation. Her action will inspire other women employed to not tolerate any undignified behavior at workplace. So this basically is considered as more appropriate because of this reason. Also, this provide her the sense of satisfaction that she fought for her cause. Again, self satisfaction में मिलेगा कि she fought for the right thing and she fought for her cause. So that is about the approach you can follow to solve a case study. Now, In conclusion or in a nutshell, what need to be done while studying this General Studies paper 4, that is Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude? One must have to know the syllabus in every possible detail and its key concept. Very much a clarity about the key concept in very simple words using personal example. Read limited material. There is no point in reading 10 or 20 books. That is why we did not prescribe here also too many books. Why? Because reading it from multiple sources will create more confusion. It is better to read from one sources multiple time. That is going to be more beneficial to you rather than looking for multiple sources. So prefer making self notes. अगर एक source से नहीं कई source refer भी करना पड़ रहे हैं तो it's better to make a self note which is going to be revised again and again so that it will become your only source for study. Next is analyzing the previous year paper which give you a direction कि हम जो पढ़ रहे हैं वो emphasize करना है या नहीं, right? So emphasis should be given based on the previous year analysis of paper. Correlate with the current news with the syllabus to quote as example. So just now we have seen clinical trial का आप example दे सकते हो ethical basically actions में. Then you can give example of Gandhi's actions in the crisis of conscience. You can give your personal example also to make it more personalistic. Next is use pictorial representation. It is being suggested in every general studies paper because it will break the monotony of the answer writing approach. Right. Next is practice answer writing regularly. Again, this is very important because answer writing is a form of art. You will only get skilled by continuous practice in this answer writing. Lastly, revision and re-revision. So this is what you have to do in this general studies paper. Revise and re-revise and try to apply whatever you have learned in the case studies. So this is all for today. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section and stay tuned to Next IAS for more informative videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching.